Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Don't know why I picked the Mercedes hat today. Today we're joined by MB. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm very well. Thank you very much for having me.
You might hear some heavy breathing, and that's because MB's on his new fitness challenge. So he decides to run up all 28 individual flights of stairs to get to this flat.
I do, yeah. So I promised in the Europe 2.0 I'd lose 5 stone, and we're just getting up to about 3 stone of the way there. So just another couple to go. But
amazing work, as always.
Yeah, we do the stairs.
It's
a
tough
little bit
as the
more
stairs.
than 4.
I did the stairs once when the lift wasn't working, and it was fucking killer. And that was going down.
Yeah, it's awful, man. But you know what? Like doing those stairs, you know what's mad?
What?
It makes me have an appreciation for the men and women on 9/11, the firemen. They were like,
the firemen and firemen women.
The firemen women, they go up there.
Yeah,
like they were like 56 floors up, like even higher. I've just done 14 or 28 individuals. I'm knackered. And yeah, I'm not in my prime, but wow.
Well, you know, you bought the memorial T-shirt.
I did.
So obviously it's something you hold dear to your heart. Someone commented on the Europe video saying it's funny that on the day in Rome, Briody thought it was a good day to wear his 9/11 memorial T-shirt. But they do say never forget.
You always remember him, haven't you?
Always remember, never forget. Anyway, before we get too deep into this, we've been waiting to do this podcast for a long, long time.
We have.
Me and MB, I feel like we've got a lot to talk about in every regard.
Yeah.
You and I. But we want to talk about our days at college.
Yeah.
Because me and MB had a
blast.
Yeah, a blast. But also a pretty weird time at college, wasn't it, man?
It was great. It was like, I can't now say it was the best years of my life. But it was like two great years, like
truly carefree, just fucking hell. We went to a college that's no longer there. It's called Leeds College of Technology, and then it rebranded to Leeds City College. For those of you familiar with Leeds, it's the one that was next to the Morrisons up top of town, Cookridge Street, I think.
Yeah, it was kind of like, and I remember when I decided to go to the College of Technology, it was because I went to like Joseph Priestley and all the other little like scrubby ones. And Leeds College of Technology had a little bit of prestige about it. It wasn't
I don't think we're talking about the same college here, mate.
We are. It wasn't like, it's not like, what's it called now? That old, like, they renamed them all, didn't they? Like Leeds College or something.
Leeds City College.
Leeds
City College, yeah.
But before that, already like Joseph Priestley and Thomas Danby, I don't even know the rest. They started like merging before. And Elcott was like the one on its own still.
Elcott is Leeds College of Tech, for those in the know.
Yeah, for those that know, they know. And it was great. Like, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to go there. And it was a great 2 years.
Yeah, so me and MB, we were good friends before, but we really kind of became true brothers at college. I think that was a real seminal moment for our relationship. It wouldn't have been the same for either of us without either of the other two. And in the strangest way possible, and you'll learn more about what I mean by this. Take it with a pinch of salt, but we were like the alpha males of our class.
You won't believe it, but we was the top dogs. And it was a right confident boost, wasn't it?
So many years later, one of my mates, JP, asked me what college I went to, and I told him, Leeds College of Technology, and he said, fuck me, I've never seen anyone that looks normal walking out of that fucking door. And he's right.
But it got worse. Like when we was there in, 2008 to 2010.
Good God.
It was good then. It was held in a little bit more regard than what it was in its latter years before it was,
I guess,
like demolished. And we started seeing that maybe in the last 2 quarters of 2010 when we was there. A lot more of
the last half, some would say.
Well, I'm an investor.
You're working in fiscal quarters.
I'm a big investing man, Apple's done well recently.
It's done really well, hasn't it?
You started to see probably some more of like the assisted learning groups coming in. And that's fine. Like they've all got to have a place that's a safe haven.
That's fine.
I went to Joseph Priestley for a walk around day, and if I needed assisted learning, I would have not wanted to go to Joseph Priestley. It was awful. There was like people like studying gas.
You're making it sound like we went to like a special needs college, which while that's great that those places exist,
we did.
No, we didn't, man. It was just there was a high. Look, it was a weird college, right? There was some weird characters in there. So me and Briody were kind of we were studying. What were we studying? Software development.
I've got it, mate.
I wondered what this big file
what
was.
I've got here is my record of achievements.
Oh, amazing!
So you used to have these in
There
school.
to flex, is he?
And this is the one that I brought myself. Really nice.
Wow! For those of you listening, it's a nice red and black leatherette folder.
And in here it's got, and I'll tell you later, it's got my cover letter, it's got my CV, and then it's got my certificate of higher education in uni. And what else has it got? It has got, so we did.
Can't believe you've got this to hand.
You know why I brought it?
Why?
I've brought it because it tells us all of the courses that we did. So we can go through these courses and we can discuss those.
It's going to be a long night for you listeners.
We'll keep it quick.
No, it's good, man.
It was the Edexcel Level 3 BTEC National Diploma for IT Practitioners Software Development.
Level 2.
With the triple grade distinction, baby.
So it was basically an all-round IT course. It didn't seem too specialised. We were doing, in one lesson we were doing web development, in the other we were doing graphic design, in one we were doing databases with Oracle and
C++.
Excel. We were doing C++, we were doing Visual Basic, we were doing HTML. We were doing fucking binary shit, computing fundamentals, where I think we took computers apart. I don't know. It was really, it was literally like a breeding ground for virgins, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think for me, what I learned there the most was bullies actually have a good place in the school system because they kind of keep everybody in check. Like, obviously, you don't want a bully to be too assertive and aggressive, and when he gets physical, that's not a good thing. But they kind of keep everybody in check, and it's not about not being. It's not about not being yourself. Everybody should be themselves.
There's a version of yourself that you can be though, that you present, and I guess maybe we're the problem with the world, or at least maybe we were back then. But we were an unlikely pair, you and I.
Yeah, it's like little and large.
You had your big muscles.
What about the guy on the bus?
So we used to get the bus to college. This will just give you an idea of how opposite me and MB were in everything but personalities, I suppose, and sense of humour. We used to get the same bus every morning. Great times. It was free. Yep. We get on the bus, and one day this fucking, what I can only describe as an intimidating lad for me, got on.
A lad.
We'll just leave it at lad. He got on, and what was he saying?
So he comes up to us, and he goes, I think he said, are you two mates? We was like, yeah, we're sat on an empty top deck of a bus, both sat together. What do you think? So
we didn't say that, did we?
No, we're just
we are, mate.
Yeah, we're besties, we're besties.
Yeah.
So I'm sat there, and back in the day, I was a little bit more ripped, and I was a bit I was fit. And Kelly sat there with a USB dongle around his neck.
It's the mirrored one that we reference in The Road to Nowhere.
But just sat, and here's Kelly with the cheek saying oh yeah, we were two alpha males in this nerdy assisted learning kind of place. Kelly's on the bus here with a blooming Lexmark
LG. It was an LG
dongle around his neck on top of his Master of Puppets t-shirt with his Primark shirt over the top of that with the dongle on.
So he comes to do me dirty like that, mate, for my own audience.
Man. He comes up to us and he goes, and I introduces himself and he goes, points at me and he goes, you like sports? And then he points at Kelly and he goes, you like computers? And that was pretty much it, wasn't it?
Yeah, the only other bit of the conversation I remember, aside from just waiting for him to leave us alone, was he asked us, where do you hang about? Where do you hang around? And my answer was, just at home.
Yeah. I didn't want to give too much information.
I didn't want to tell him my ends. He'd be there to rip the old LG off around my neck. So
snatch it.
So even the man wearing USB drive around his neck, still in the top percentage of the class. It's difficult to go through people that we went to college with. Some of them stayed friends with us for a little longer than others. Some of them were very short term. Some of them were much longer term. Some names that the old school viewers might remember. Kieran O'Hare, Andy Daimler, we went to college with them. Yeah. We remained friends with them for a number of years.
A long time.
Kind of lost touch with them now, but there's no animosity there.
Good guys.
And then there was other people, other characters that were kind of in and out of our college lives. I'm trying to think of. It's hard because it's so unlikely that they're ever going to listen to this. But there was one guy who thought he was like the bee's knees because his jeans cost like £80, which back then was a lot. I mean, even now it's a lot. That'd get you like some Levi's now. I think that's what my Levi's cost actually, about £90. But we were all rolling in the cheap. That's a good phrase, isn't it? Rolling in the cheap. And he had like some fucking expensive jeans. He was like the first guy to get the iPhone. He had the iPhone.
LG cookie.
Yeah, he had the LG
with the stylus.
Touchscreen. Yeah. And he was a nice guy, but like he was just so overbearing and overpowering all the time and trying to just top you, like, not like that. Danny White entered the room. He was just like, one of them people that like you just want to tell a story, and we've all got this person in their life. For you, it's probably me, MB. I apologize, but
vice versa.
where you're telling a story and some other prick just kind of outdoes you.
Yeah.
God, I fucking hate that.
But it's true though. You get it all the time. Like, and he was that person. And there was a guy who like, I don't know what show he went on, but he's like the quote. His dad. He apparently went on a show. Was it the Gadget Show? On Channel 5, and his dad said on this show live, it was like, if we had more money, we'd have more technology. And it was just like that summed him and his family up. Like all these people we're talking about, sound guys.
We all had
a beer with them.
Yeah. I'd love to have a beer with them.
Absolutely. Like there's no animosity there. They're lovely, lovely people. And they were just like us, really. But it was just funny. Like we all had our quirks
just not
and features.
Quite firing. Like I think because we were so in sync,
sharp,
we kind of disrupted the crowd. Yeah. So let's talk a bit about. So when we first started college, we rocked up, and Raz went to this college as well, but he was in like a different set to us.
He was in networking.
He was doing networking, and also Ash Walker and Ben Phillips, who you know from the channel, went to this college, but they were in. Yeah, they were in the Dougie group then too.
They were in the set where you fail your English.
They were.
But the thing that's funny is both of them are doing better than us now in a career. So
well, win some, you lose some.
That group, that second group that had to like resit the stuff, they were so much more focused than us. Like they would come out of a class and we'd be like apes in our room, like kicking off, like just like people always say like sometimes you can have like the skill and the natural like talent, but you just waste it. And I feel like that was our top group. And the group that maybe didn't have that and they failed some of their stuff, they were so much more focused.
They really were.
I remember I had to sit in theirs once and nobody spoke. In ours, there was always like inappropriate jokes and references flying around.
In fact, let's jump to that. So we once got collared, didn't we, for this? So
yeah, we did.
We like to think that the humour on the TPD channel is kind of as close to the bone as we can realistically push it without getting cancelled, right? And that line keeps moving, and we'll keep adjusting to that line because you've just got to keep this going. But back then, everything was free game. Yeah, it was a wonderful time.
It was great.
It was a wonderful time in many ways, and of course, all the progressive nature of society now is inherently good.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in a group of friends that have no ill intentions, it was just hilarious. Some of the shit that you could get away with saying back then in front of teachers, in front of class members.
Can't even reference it now.
No, we couldn't even. But you know, you're not idiots. You can use your imagination. But we would just rinse each other in the most vulgar, grotesque way possible, to the point where it actually started causing us a little bit of a problem, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. We I can't remember what class it was in, but we actually ended up getting pulled up for it, didn't we, by our tutor?
She was like the head of something, wasn't she?
It was the head of. I can't remember what she was, but a woman like you, so high that you don't have any classes with her. Like she's more of an administrative kind of operational kind of person within the college's hierarchy. And then we had our tutor,
almost like a human resources for the
for the college. And then we had our tutor, the great Trevor Nichols. I hope he's happy with saying that. The really nice guy.
Did a lot for us, boy.
Yeah, the best tutor. And he pulled us in. Was it me, you, and another chap?
Was it?
I think it was 3 of us that got pulled in, and there was a discussion had, which was basically like, if you guys don't calm it down right now, we're going to have to start investigating if something sick and twisted happened in your personal lives to cause you to have this kind of nature.
Literally, like, check that you're not being abused at home.
Yeah,
because
literally.
because we were 17 at the time.
Yeah.
It's like, how do 17-year-olds know about this stuff? I remember this is one of the more tame things. I mean, literally, it was just spending all day on 4chan. But I remember one of the more tame things. So we had a tutor called, I was going to say Peter Sutcliffe. It's not Peter Sutcliffe, but that's going to be relevant to this conversation in a sec. What was the old guy called?
Oh, Kevin?
Kevin. Yeah, it was Kevin. Old guy. Even then, probably pushing late 60s, 70. Yeah. And he was probably there when they were feeding computers ticker tape.
Yeah.
Like when programming was done on a piece of paper with punch holes in it. And he obviously signed up for this tutoring job to enable the next generation.
Nurture.
And anyway... We roll in, bags slung under the desk, no doubt.
Tank top.
Briady's there in his tank top. And we just spend 50 minutes. Teacher's like just sat at his desk. We just spend 50 minutes talking, who's the best serial killer? Not like who's the most deplorable one? Which one gives you shivers? Who's the best? Who's your favourite one?
We were rating them on like devastation, like the worst.
Well, Huntley's
crimes.
got 2 bodies, but they were like real treasures of their community. Whereas Shipman's got many more bodies, but they were old. Yeah,
they were older ones. Whereas like you look at like, I don't know, Ralmo was like, he was cold, but he took out police though. So that like, we're obviously this isn't what we think.
This is the kind of conversation we were having.
Yeah,
and I just remember looking over at Kevin. And we're meant to be like taking RAM out of computers and learning how binary works and how hexadecimal works or whatever. And he's just sat there with his fucking his head in his hands, thinking, fuck me.
Retirement probably.
And the thing is, even if there was 2 or 3 people in that class that wanted to learn, they wouldn't have had a chance.
No, we disrupted their learning. But I'd like to think that most of them didn't anyway, because everybody kind of joined.
That was a full class thing. I mean, I probably learned about a lot of serial killers from that conversation.
Yeah, from other people within that group.
Do you remember in that same lesson when you hid Scott's files?
No, it wasn't in that one. So it was in a different lesson. So he plugged his USB in, and obviously on most computers you've got some kind of access to them. Yeah,
just for people who, well, forgetting how long ago this was. Yeah. I'm sure this might be not the norm now, but there was no like local network that you would store stuff on. So you had to use removable storage. So everyone had their own USB drive. I had my mirrored one. Briody had a 007 one with a biometric fingerprint reader. Everyone had a USB drive.
Yep.
So every time you got to lesson, you'd plug your USB drive in to access your files.
Yeah.
You couldn't just log into a portal or profile and go.
No. So you've got it all there. And some of the computers had administrative power that you couldn't do. So like stuff like, when you was in Kevin's, you could go on and you could do anything on there because they weren't connected to the network, so there was no chance you was going to like spread a virus.
That was the real kind of learn with these computers. Like they were like the kind of guinea pig computers.
Yeah, they were sandboxed pretty well.
Yeah, and they were old as fuck as well.
Yeah, they were about Kevin's age.
They really were.
And so yeah, we go into one lesson, and one of our classmates has left his USB drive.
Scott was one of the kind of cooler, more level-headed lads.
Yeah, a normal guy.
Just a normal lad.
Really, like a lad, more of a lad than either of me or you.
Yeah.
Like, was a lad, a good-looking lad. Great.
All right, mate. Danny White entered the chat again.
Scott, get in touch. But yeah, so then, hid his files on his USB drive so he couldn't get them.
What, like so selected them, right-clicked.
Yeah, hide.
Hide files. So Windows has hidden folders and files, and you just hid them.
So I hid them. And then he comes back and he thinks that everyone's deleted his work. And he's like raging because this is at this point in nearly a year's worth of work, and he thinks it's gone. So we open up, we're like, oh, don't worry, Scott, like they're just hidden, we'll get them back. And then we're panicking because we realise for some reason the administrative stuff means you can hide it, the restrictions, but you can't then unhide them. You can't
unhide it and reveal the files. So you've hidden them, they're literally invisible to the user. But you can't unhide them.
So there's a little bit of panic setting in, like, oh crap, we might have actually really
shit the bed,
jeopardised this guy's work here. So we end up having to run back down to Kevin's room, plug it in there, and then unhide them all.
Take it to another floor where you can unhide it.
Yeah, but yeah, I know that's not
like
for
it's
outside,
so
it's not loads, but
it's so that like just the simplest things. I remember there was a lad called Robin, like super intelligent lad.
a bit older than us.
Yeah, a bit older than us, but again, very much on the level. Good sense of humour. Could
really
dish
good.
it out and take it in equal measure. Really up for the banter. And he was like really smart with computers, right? And he was
Especially
like
programming.
Yeah, and he was doing some programming. Probably like half an hour's worth of straight programming. And I think it was you or Scott. Just go over, turn his PC off at the mains. Like straight at the mains, loses everything. He's just got to turn it back on and start again.
Yeah, so many times I forgot that. Or you'd go over and you'd be like talking to someone, and then behind your back on them Dells, the old Dell machines that used to have the little bit that you used to pull out the way, and it like exposed the on and off button and the on the power button,
The USBs
and the USB ports. So most of the time people would open it to put the USB stick in. So you'd go over and you'd like just turn the computer off, like while they're coding or while they're like making a website. Oh yeah, and there was even the time like with God, we would just have arguments. Like I don't know if you've still got the footage, but it's like
you arguing with our databases teacher.
Yeah,
that's somewhere.
And she's like threatening to like get yardies onto me.
Yeah, she
and
was.
Like,
she used to talk about having yardie contacts all the time.
Yeah.
I don't even know what yardie is. Is it a gang? It is a
it's-
gang, innit?
it's
It's
a
like
gang.
gangster.
Yeah, like a London gang. And she used to threaten to like get yardies on us because we were talking too much.
Imagine the
no.
yardies coming in for that.
Do you remember on the first time we had her, and there was a guy, was it Edwin?
Edwin.
We had Edwin on our course, and he was a mature student.
He was a mature exchange student.
Yeah, he was a lovely,
New to the country.
top bloke, really nice guy. And we're sat there, and we're on this IT course, and we've had to like, there's some entry requirements. You have to be like competent within Office and stuff like that. And we wasn't, but and she was just trying to get this guy to understand Excel, and the guy couldn't even do a simple like sum formula. And it was just, I think that was the last time we ever saw Edwin.
I just remember I have this distinct vision, bless him. And he's come here to try and better himself, man.
Yeah,
We're laughing about him 12 years later, but 13 years later.
And he's
fuck
probably
me.
doing a lot better than us.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
I scaff this. But I just remember him just sat like looking at like 1,000 empty cells on Excel.
Yeah, and he's just lost.
Oh, God.
And Lorraine's asking him like, oh, was it even, even before that, I think she was asking him to open Excel.
Yeah, she had asked him to do so. It wasn't even a formula. It was something like
Just open Excel, I think.
maybe it was, and he was sat looking just at the desktop.
Yeah, and he was going through the blooming start bar. Like he couldn't find out on there. And I think he even clicked like Word or something.
That's the test. You're out.
It's mad. And yeah, never saw him again. Go on, sorry.
It'd be good to deep dive the lessons. I know you've got the lessons there.
Yeah,
That'll obviously spur a lot of conversations. There's two things I want to talk about specifically. Just quick like little anecdotes. First thing is when we first went to the open day at college or the induction day.
Yeah.
So me, you and Raz,
Yep.
we roll in.
Yep.
We sit down in this fucking theatre, and Kevin from before, you remember Kevin from earlier in the story?
Big Kev.
He starts the fucking conversation. He's like, right, thanks everyone for coming.
Welcome.
We're going to give you all £15 in cash, which then was like,
It was loads.
that was a substantial amount of money for a 17-year-old.
On top of my free bus pass.
Mm-hmm.
On top of my £30 a week EMA.
And he pulls out this fucking bag, didn't he? With fivers in it. All
Sealed.
fivers, like fresh from the bank, like fucking DB Cooper heist money.
It was mad. They were sealed in blooming. They were all sealed, wrapped. He just pulls them out of nowhere.
And he just fucking gives everyone 3 fivers. And there's a photo that I might tweet after this podcast goes
I've got
out.
a disgusting like spotty scab on my face.
Well, it was literally 12 years
I know.
ago. You don't look much better now.
Things don't change.
And yeah, we all got 15 quid for free, and that was probably one of the highlights.
It was just weird.
Because that was a lot of money then, man. 15 quid was like a lot of money in 2008.
I've never had that experience ever again where I go to somewhere and somebody goes, here's 15 quid and fresh notes.
The idea was to cover travel expenses, but we'd already got the free bus pass. And that hadn't been told to us beforehand.
Yeah. We didn't have
Bus
EMA.
was £2 even if we'd have fucking day rider then was like £2.70. But that was funny getting that. And then the other story, what the fuck was it now? Oh yeah, so I failed my maths GCSE.
You did.
Which meant that, so the group that Ash and Ben were in, I think they failed English and maths. I might be wrong there. I might be wrong. But I just failed my maths, so I was in like group A. But I had to then do an extra module.
I forgot all about this, in year 1. I forgot all about this.
Yeah, so I had to do an extra module in year 1, which was GCSE Maths.
Yeah.
So the tutor, I go to one of these GCSE Maths lessons. Bridy's not in there because he passed his maths in high school.
Smashed it.
I go to one of these and I'm in there with the less
learning.
intellectual people. And I just think this isn't for me. So I just go to the tutor the next time it's time for that lesson. Briody goes home. I go to my fucking maths catch-up lesson. And I just say to the guy, I passed my maths GCSE.
Why am I here?
And he just goes, did you? And I was like, yeah. And he just crossed me off the list, and that was that. And that's...
Never heard of it
and I've never fucking heard of it again.
That's mad,
and that's a testament to the kind of, I guess, the admin and the infrastructure that was going on in this college at the time, because that would never fucking fly nowadays.
Oh, man, you know what? That's a memory. That's unlocked a memory, because I remember that first 2 or 3 times, whenever it was, like getting the bus home in the dark on my own, and it was such a weird experience.
Because I wasn't there, because I was doing the maths catch-up.
Oh, that was crazy. I forgot all about that,
So
that is mad.
Let's go through your folder.
Right, let's have a look at this folder.
As we talk about each subject by title, because there's a lot of different modules, there's a lot of different things, we'll no doubt have some great memories and some really, really funny anecdotes and stuff.
Just while we...
college was so good, man. And I don't think we're going to sell it properly, but it was incredible.
We're not. But you know what? Even if this just unlocks some memories for us like it has done there, and in years to come we can look back.
That's true. We're creating for ourselves today.
We are.
Fuck your listeners and viewers.
They'll love it as well. Just quickly, while I was at college, I also had a job. So I used to work at TK Maxx. And before I go through these, I'm going to read you my cover letter.
Oh, amazing. This is a great idea for a podcast.
Maybe a personal statement, yeah?
Amazing.
But so, here it goes. Matthew Briody cover letter. Gives my details. And for some reason I put on a full UK driving licence. Full
flexing even back then.
Full CRB certificate.
I think they give them out for free.
I am very interested in the position you are advertising. Given my previous experience in retail, sports coaching and IT, I would like to be considered for this job opportunity. I believe that my skills are ideal for this position and I am perfectly suited for the role. Please find all my previous work experience and qualifications in my CV along with written references. I appreciate you taking the time to review my credentials. Thank you for your consideration.
Not bad. I've read worse from people our age.
Yeah. I thought that was going to be really bad. Like,
the only thing it's missing is like good experience with Microsoft Office and can work as good as part of a team or as an individual.
What have I got here? Like an experienced sales associate sports thing. Yeah, that's boring, I'm not going to read that out because it's pretty much just very generic CV kind of stuff.
The same thing.
Like effective teamwork, mixed self-motivation and discovery helped me in all of my previous
just
roles.
The generic child to late teens.
Very generic.
CV 101.
Right, here we go. So this is the notification of performance for the BTEC.
Just before we jump into the lessons that we used to do, I'd like to say I graduated with a distinction merit, which is the second highest grade possible.
That is true. And I graduated with distinction.
Don't check there like you didn't know off the top of your head.
Yeah, so
we still bring this up every other day.
We do. So when we go through these, like the courses we took, you got a fail, pass, merit, distinction, and they were all tallied up like a point system. And
is that how a BTEC works in general?
I think so.
Is that how they work now?
I don't really know.
Kids,
I know that.
Sorry, they won't like being called kids if they're at college. Listen, my young fam.
My boy.
The Wagwan. Yo, Wagwan, brethren. Tell us.
Wagwan.
What does Jeremy Clarkson say?
It is like
Wagwan.
Wagwan.
Anyway, we digress, as always. So you could get fail, pass, merit, distinction. Obviously, distinction's the top.
Yep. Fail
is at the lowest.
So then that's like grouped together depending on the value on the stuff, and it gives you an outcome, distinction, or any of the other variables that it could be, right down to fail.
That would be a real shitter, wouldn't it?
You would honestly need to be so bad to get that. Like, it was some of these things. Like, I've got a pass here, and we'll start off straight in. And I got a pass in advanced database skills.
Okay.
And
so
was that
advanced? That was with Mike Stringer.
Mike Stringer,
who used to show off because he was a tax dodger, and he used to bring that up every lesson as if he was begging for someone to snitch him in.
Just to see.
And that was databases using Oracle.
Yeah, SQL.
SQL. That was difficult. I was not very good at that.
It wasn't, and he wasn't a very good tutor either.
He wasn't.
He'd spend most of the time either talking about avoiding tax or
talking about himself.
His photography website, which had a really basic, crappy SQL database on the back, which allowed somebody to log in and then view their own photos. Like, maybe 12, 13 years ago, that was quite good. But
well, he was when he was showing.
He was just so patronizing about it. Like, actually teach me how to do it.
He was like working against the students. I feel like he almost had an ego, and he would have been better, like, coming in and humbling himself a little bit.
Absolutely.
Because I never felt like he was teaching me. I almost either thought he was showing off or undermining me.
He was a guy that couldn't fit into a normal IT office environment because people would just be like, yeah, we know that, Mike. Like, simmer down. So he had to come and show off to kids.
That's a great analogy.
It is true. So he did that one, advanced database skills. Not much to really speak about with that. It was
incredibly boring.
Dead.
It was in a more modern room. That one. It had they had TFT flat panel displays, so none of the big CRT monitors.
And they also had like the server rack in the corner.
Yep, they did. And they're the same kind of rooms that we filmed Insane on the Membrane Random Gaming. If somehow you've seen Insane on the Membrane Random Game,
one or two.
Well, there's 2 episodes. We filmed them in those rooms.
We did. So, on to the next one. And this was information systems. And I got a pass on that one. That was...
How'd you end up with a distinction when so
because
far
I'm
you've
going to
got
get the
2
passes out of the way first, and then it's just going to... All the viewers are going to remember is just distinction.
All right.
Distinction.
Another one.
What's
that one? Information systems.
Information systems. Again, I think the problem is, because I got a pass in that, I don't remember too much about it.
Eric's lesson?
No, I think information systems was... It was either Gavin's or it was Lorraine's.
It was Lorraine's, that the woman that used to tell us about the yardies, it was hers.
Yeah.
So that's databasing using Excel. We've kind of talked about that already. She hated us for probably good reason.
Yeah. We weren't great students.
She was the only tutor out of all the tutors that ever made sure that my EMA was docked. So EMA, Educational Maintenance Allowance. If you're under a certain earnings threshold, or your parents are, basically if you're poor, you'd get like free money every week. It's like pocket money, but from the government. And we both got 30 quid a week, which was the highest banding. And the kind of the caveat, or the kind of the rule with that, was you needed to attend every lesson.
Yeah.
And not be late. And there was one time where I was late.
Yeah.
I couldn't have been that late, but I honestly can't remember. So
Maybe
let's
10,
say
minutes.
I was 15 minutes late. And she made sure
that EMA
that got back up to the chain, and I didn't get my EMA.
And you know what was important about that as well?
What?
Like, because she was then nearly jeopardising your £100 Christmas bonus. Because I'm sure
true.
if
you
you
get
had
a bonus
like 3 or
at
4,
Christmas if you
sorry.
Yeah, so every Christmas you'd get 100 quid extra EMA, which was fucking mad.
For no reason. Like 30 quid was enough. That was £6 a day, as well as free travel. Like, no wonder, like, there was, and this is just after we've gone through 2008's financial crisis as well. The government was crippled and they were just throwing money around. But yeah, so that was her. But if you had too many of those instances within the calendar year,
you wouldn't get your bonus.
You wouldn't get your bonus.
And do you know what? I'll never try and take food out of anyone's mouth.
No.
Widely speaking, like, I'll never try and affect someone's, like, if someone really pisses me off, you never want to hit someone where it hurts. Like, it's just a boundary that you don't touch.
Yeah.
And she effectively did that to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have been on time. But what difference is it to you if I'm not getting my 30 quid? It makes no difference to you.
Man's now got to live off £4 a day rather than £6 a day.
Fucking joke.
Awful. So, after that was a crap course.
Yeah.
So the next one we've got here is communication and employability skills for IT. Was that Trevor?
That was like a how to conduct yourself lesson.
It was, and we had to do a.
Did we go to a special school?
There's a funny story about this.
This is bollocks.
This is a funny story.
This is
man.
bollocks.
No, this is true. Wallahi, this is true. This is a good story. So we
the lesson is you're not learning anything aside from communicative skills, presentation skills, how to conduct yourself.
Yeah. So it's like one of the first times we're doing it, and it's like, right, you have to prepare a presentation on yourself. So we're all preparing our presentations, and Rob's got his, and we're talking about things that we love and that we like and stuff like that.
It's just not true, this.
The wettest lad.
It's just not true.
It's true, man. It's true, I've said. And he had a slide dedicated to his bird at the time and the things that she liked. And
no, I didn't, man.
You did. He did.
I swear down, I did not.
He did. I've already sworn.
Shit.
He did have it, man. Honestly, I'll take that to the grave, and I'll always say he did that because he did. As well as leave the chills early because his phone was dying. And he needed to text his bird somewhere else. He did. He's a wet lad, this guy.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. He changed, man, now. Molded him. But yeah. And
now I can't sustain a relationship and I hurt those closest to me.
We all do it now, mate. It's charge it to the game. Charge it to the game. So yeah, and then there's another, remember on them as well, we changed decks. So it had like a random bit saying, I love cheese. In one of the speech bubbles.
So Deck was one of the guys in the class.
Oh yeah, I shouldn't have said his name.
It's all right, like, you know.
He was sound.
Just as long as you say nice lad afterwards, it's all
bloke.
So Deck had a good sense of humour. We got along with him. I'm sure he probably disliked us more than he let on because we did used to kind of grind on him a bit. So I'm sorry about that.
You grinded all over him.
Excuse you, but yeah, he took himself more seriously than we did.
Yeah, he wanted to succeed.
Yeah,
more than what we did.
What, more than a triple distinction?
Oh, it just comes easy to some of us, doesn't it?
So what did you put in his presentation?
So we just changed some text to I love cheese, and the poor guy presented it, and this was his like, he loved this, and then it comes up and he's like, yeah, blah, 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 and it says like I love cheese in front of the class, and he was so embarrassed by it. Like
everyone loves cheese.
I sound awful now, but yeah, and there was a big like, I think for 2 years this went on, like who changed it. Even to the point where I think in the second year, you put it in one of your presentations in Wingdings.
Yeah, I did. I did it in the
Wingdings.
Had to decode
it.
Yeah.
So it was like a little running joke. I know for most people watching now would just be like, oh my God, what is that? But it was just like, at the time, it was so funny.
You had to be there, really.
Yeah, you did.
You had to be there, not listening to it almost 14 years later on all major platforms.
That's true. So that was communication and employability skills for IT.
That was it wasn't a tough lesson.
Boring.
It was boring. I remember doing one of the many presentations and I just stood up and it was barriers to communication.
Yeah.
And I just stood up in front of the class and I just was like, and I was just like, I've identified some barriers to communication. Number one, language barrier, blah, 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 and just powered through. And Trevor had to go, whoa, Robert, slow down.
So that was that. The next one, so that one I got distinction in.
The easiest one.
The next one, computer systems. That's the one with
Eric's.
No, not with Kevin.
I don't know.
I'm sure that's with Kevin because that's like.
Is that the one that we were referring to with the serial killer conversation?
Yeah, it was. So that was that one, like kind of stripping down computers, rebuilding them, understanding the infrastructure,
nicking the ancient Intel chip, taking it home, thinking you're going to make 80 quid on eBay. It's worth fuck all. And the pins are bent. It
was even like taking the actual chip out and then like resealing it back in. That was great. Distinction. Next one, IT systems analysis and design. Now that was Eric.
That was Eric's. So Eric was a massive guy, big old muscly, hands like dinner plates.
Literally shovels.
Gentle giant, wasn't he?
A lovely bloke when you got to know him.
He always used to finish every sentence saying, does that make sense?
Does that make sense?
Does that make sense? And his lesson was probably my most difficult.
I liked his.
You were better at it than I was.
Yeah,
it was C++ coding. And I hate coding. I hate programming. I like HTML because there's more of a graphic kind of element to it.
Yeah.
I hate like hard programming. We were programming to run things in command prompt which is a really bare bones software that just displays characters. It was light programming for a fucking Commodore 64 in the 80s.
Yeah.
And you used to have a kind of a signature on your program. So the programs we were making, there were nothing simple. I think one was a calculator that we'd have to program. One was, there was maybe something where you'd put in like, I might have made this up or I might have the wires a bit crossed, but you would maybe type in like a fruit that has a preset weight to it. And then you would say like 5 bananas, 4 apples.
Right.
And it would tell you maybe how many bags you needed for that. Something along those lines. So, but we'd have to code that from scratch using, obviously,
like the world's available to us.
Yeah.
So
but you had a signature, didn't you? In your you could always tell an MB Enterprises program
because it was color coded to start with. So I had blue and yellow.
It was blue and yellow,
and it had a progressive loading screen when it didn't even need one.
It was literally
slowly
like it's so dumb.
Line by line, it would like reveal, and it was. I'm sure it was Snoopy as well.
It was. So when something's loading, you're loading up GTA 5, yeah.
10 hours later.
Yeah, it takes 10 hours, but stuff's going on in the background, and you're presented with a nice image to look at while it loads. Yep. Briody's loading screen was essentially
coded,
just pausing your game for 10 minutes and showing you a picture, and then advancing onto the. It could have been instant, but you added in a loading screen,
absolutely,
line by line, an ASCII art drawing of Snoopy on top of his fucking
designed and created by Matt Briody. Yeah, I did, and it was just. I found it so easy that I just thought, you know what, I'll add another level of complexity to it while these other boys catch up.
There's so many things with this podcast where we've kind of got like pictures of it, or maybe if anyone's interested and wants to create a thread in the Sam Pelly Squad saying, show us this bit about college, show us this bit, we can then comment in and show you like what these loading screens look like. But you have to do that proactively because this will come out in like 5 weeks.
Yeah. It was. So what was that one again? So that was IT systems. Oh, actually, I only got a merit in that.
So mate, I think you've been lying all these years.
I only got a merit in that. So the next one, principles of software design and development. Now, was that Gavin?
I'm not sure.
Was that tall Gavin, or was that
Dom?
Dom or Clive?
Clive was insufferable.
Clive was a guy that instead of pressing the enter button on Word to start a new line, he would insist, and I don't even know the proper way of doing it now, he would insist that you put a break on the actual Word document.
So instead of pressing return, he would want you to go into like the menu, like the top menu on Microsoft Word, and insert a formal page break.
Yeah, and he would then analyze your piece of work you was writing, and then he'd find out if it was in there, and he'd mark it down if you click return or enter to start a new line. He was such
a soft lad.
A prick.
He didn't have there was nothing cool about him.
I learned nothing from his classes at all. I can barely remember him apart from stuff like little things like that because it was just so awful being in him. It was insufferable. He was a dickhead.
He was a dickhead.
A dickhead. But principles of software design and development. I'm
not sure if that was Clive that ran that.
Maybe it was because I got a merit in that as well.
While we're talking about Clive, tell us about that time when you got sent out of the lesson.
Oh, yeah. So in one of Clive's lessons, we're like, me and before mentioned Robin, good friends, we're like literally ripping into each other as we were talking about before, like just constantly back and forth, a lot worse than it is now, like we said. And he sends us out because we're arguing. And so we stand outside, like either side of the door is put us. So like we can't stand on the same side and we've only got to look forward. Like gives us 5 minutes to what he thinks cool down. He comes out and starts dressing us down, like saying bah 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 bah.
What a prick.
So we're obviously, me and Robin are on a wavelength. We know what's going on. So we start then overly apologising to each other in front of him. And it must be this guy's wet dream that he thinks like he's coached and mentored both of these young lads to now be friends. He'll feel like, well, I imagine.
I really made a difference today, Margaret.
You know what? Like a boxing coach when he's taught a lad how to
You know
jab.
what? The youth ain't so bad.
I believe in these 2 young boys I've seen today, actually. And me and Robin were just like, you know what? It's my fault.
No, I insist.
No.
I take 100% responsibility for the blame.
No, it's mine. And it got so bad that he even had to then start calming us down and being like, no, boys, honestly, it's fine. Like, you both admitted fault. Like, it's okay. Just be friends. And he was like, no, we can't let this lie. Like, I'm at fault. And it went on for about 5-10 minutes outside of us just like arguing so that we didn't have to go back in and put breaks into Word documents.
Yeah, you had a better time than I did, didn't
I'm sure that was over a photo as well on Robin's PC.
Yeah, it was. I wish we could tap into that memory because there's a lot more to unlock about this.
There is. I just don't have it.
Maybe we can do a follow up if people like these kind of stories. Maybe we can do a follow up.
I'd love that. So our next one, this one's even worse because I got unclassified for some reason. Event driven programming. That is Clive as well. Not Clive, sorry. That's Eric as well.
Eric. So that's further programming.
But that was more theory side, I think.
Was that Visual Basic?
Oh, it might be.
Because we did a bit of Visual Basic. Visual Basic is like programming for kids.
Yeah. You know what? It might actually be that.
And I think there was something with that because we didn't finish that one. Like it only popped up for a little while, but it didn't last for long.
Unclassified then.
Maybe they switched that out of the curriculum. But there's no real memorable stories. For those of you that don't know, Visual Basic is like instead of coding with code, you basically
code with pictures.
It's like if anyone ever, fuck me, who does this podcast appeal to? If you ever used Dreamweaver back in the day to make a website,
man,
it is like
Dreamweaver.
That for programming instead of website.
Shit. You know what? Like big companies like Apple and stuff probably have software like that now to teach kids how to code like apps on and stuff.
Yeah, true.
Like, that's
true.
Probably like the cross-platform.
Dreamweaver was an Adobe software,
it
wasn't
was.
it? And it was massive. It was really popular.
Yeah, it really
I
was.
guess in the web boom when people were making websites and things like Squarespace didn't exist.
Yeah.
It was probably needed.
But we say this, but then what was the difference? And we're going to show our age here, but what was the difference between doing stuff like that and then going on to Bebo or Pixo?
Yeah, Pixo in particular because that was just a plain page on it and you could just add any HTML you wanted.
And you used to start like creating
Pixo was great, man.
Remember stuff like Avadeek Mush? You used to put like tags on like Avadeek.
Well, yeah, like you'd send for Pixo was kind of a social media, but not really. It was you could just create a website. You could just go in and have free reign over HTML over a page. You'd get a domain that you could create. Mine was rob-kellas-chilling at pixo.com.
Mine was Matty Briody 2K7 .
And you'd just make the page whatever you wanted. You'd add whatever HTML elements you wanted. And then you would send your mate a message on MSN saying, can you go and write in my guest book on my website? And you would do, even though you're having a conversation.
Yeah, you would do. And even stuff like...
I've just installed a shout box on my homepage. I'd love it if you'd go and leave a comment in there.
Oh, man. It brings so back...
Have a look at the GIFs on page 2, if you want.
You know, I used to have a rate the boys and rate the girls page where you used to go on and you used to click on it and you used to like, I'd have maybe 10 photos of my mates and it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, like numbered. And then there's a little comment section and the girls would go on whoever they wanted to go on and the boys would go on whoever they wanted to go on and you'd rate them and it'd be like, oh, I really like number 4. And these would be people from different schools, different areas that we've kind of like weaved our networks into. So one might go on and say...
This is year 8 though we're talking here, isn't it? So we are like, what, 13?
Yeah, it must be. It was mad. Like...
I never had a rate the lads and rate the lasses because I couldn't have got away with that.
Yeah, I was a tough lad, so I couldn't do what I want.
So what I had was just a page called swear words. And it was just a page of swear words that I'd written in myself. And then there was a page, this is real innovation.
I'd love to look at these websites, man. If somebody can find these websites.
We'll dig into it after this, but I'm pretty sure I can get them.
Oh, I'd love to find them.
There was a page that I had called What Things Mean. And that was just like acronyms that are well known, like CD, compact disc, as you know.
Nice.
But I'd change it up and it'd be called like Cheesy Dick.
Oh, nice. Well played, mate. Very good.
Yeah. Anyway, we digress again.
So, yeah, but...
Good times, man. The early internet was such a... I mean, I say early. Our earliest memories of the World Wide Web. Excellent.
Amazing. No toxic.
And it will never, ever be like that again.
No.
The early days of the internet and then later on, the early days of YouTube.
God, we could do
incredibly exciting times to be online.
like I've never had that feeling apart from when Pokemon Go came out, of the sheer like community that you felt you had on MSN.
Incredible times, man.
Amazing, like just to being able to go home. And I remember I spoke to Naomi Williamson, set up my MSN for me because nobody else would. Really nice lass. But anyway,
and now we can say what we want about
her. She was really nice.
She actually was.
She snitched on me about something. Oh no, that was Sam. Never mind. So
she was much less nice.
Yeah, she was awful. Next one is computer architecture. Have we done that already?
No.
Computer architecture. So that was with
Kevin
again. And that was more about binary.
That was binary, wasn't it? So how did binary work? Do you remember?
Yeah, so you've got 16-bit, split down into 4-bit, and then you put on... That's pretty much all I need to... That's all I know.
I know that, like, you'd have 8 bits.
Yeah.
And, like, if there's a 1 in the first... So you'd have 8 bits, which is 8 zeros.
Yeah.
Or 1s.
So for people that don't know...
And they add up to 256.
What's binary? Because we're so far away from that binary.
I know what it is and I can't even explain it.
So binary is pretty much like the building blocks of all computer software.
Yes.
Pretty much everything. It's everything in IT, and most people don't know this, just comes down to ones and zeros.
It's just zeros and ones
that
on a board. That
kind of like tells everything what to do, and we've got to the stage now where we're so far advanced you don't have to use ones and zeros. But if you was to strip everything right back, ones and zeros literally at everything.
It's the language of computing in every single regard.
And we was learning about that in this course. And you know what? It actually was quite enjoyable.
I can't remember how it works. So you've got 8 slots, and the highest slot is worth 256 or 128. So if there's a 1 in the end slot and the rest is zeros, the number it's representing is 256.
Yeah.
It don't matter. Any funny stories from this one?
Not really, apart from like making like swear words or like making like inappropriate jokes with it and stuff like that.
Check out the latest swear words in binary on my website.
101101101110. If you know what I mean.
Cheeky. You can't say that in 2021, mate.
I'm a modern man.
Hey, listen, it's all about non-binary. How's that for a topical joke?
That's true. Very true. So, next one. Distinction. Client-side customization of web pages.
Now, this was sick.
This was good.
Front-end web design, building websites, using Notepad, being taught to have Notepad side by side with a Chrome. Oh, no, it wasn't Chrome. It must have been IE, Internet Explorer.
It was IE.
And
was it Firefox?
Oh, maybe it was Firefox.
We used Firefox back then. Because we had it on our USB.
Yeah, we did. We had a portable version of Firefox that we kind of like hacked. I say hacked, we just downloaded it. But like it wasn't meant to run on the systems. And we were like, Firefox Elite, we'll bring that in on our own. But yeah, that was great. We'd basically be building a website from scratch. Really basic, tables and images.
It's weird you say this because you're really enthusiastic about this one course, yeah?
Yeah.
But this was the course that separated us. I remember a distinct memory from this
because
course.
It held me back, mate. I couldn't be as creative as the course would let me.
Your commitment failed on this course.
I still hear about this shit at least every like 6 months from this.
There was a time on this course, and I got triple distinction. Your boy over there struggling got distinction, merit, and that's why he went to a metropolitan. So, yeah, we're on this thing, and literally we're finishing it off, and there's like, Gavin's like, whoever it was like, you can stay back if you want to complete your stuff to make sure you can get a distinction or merit on this course. And your boy Kelly sells a man out, and he's like, I'm going to go, I'll sit with a merit. And I stayed, finished it off, because there was really clear criteria that your website needed to have to hit merit or distinction.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? It needed to have like certain compliance,
really
maybe
easy.
3 tables, resizable text.
It needed to be WW3 compliant?
W3C
compliant.
What that means is basically your code has to be tidy in the back end. So you'd code a website, but if you're a bad code or bad designer or whatever, you might just leave some code like unsettled or like leave some parameters open, or it would be running inefficiently. And you could upload your code to a checker, and it'd check that code for efficiency and for compliance.
And it would also be stuff like for accessibility issues, which things like you don't even see now. But when you click on a web page and you click a link on it, it should open in the same window to allow somebody who's visually impaired
by
to be
default.
able to access that page straight away.
And things like
rather than a pop-up.
alternate text for images. So if an image doesn't load, it loads in the text explaining what the image is.
Yeah, stuff
Shit
like that. So like I stayed back, did it, smashed, as it says here, the distinction. Your boy Kelly jogged on with Scott Dennison to probably go have a pint or something, fair enough.
Probably.
And
17, eh?
Yeah, not 17 forever. And and he got a merit. So the lads here over here singing big praises about the course. Couldn't even stay to get a distinction.
Loved the course, enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was, we're both sat at the same table, big man.
Yeah, we are.
So at the end of the day,
I'll check on mine here. Distinction.
that was a really good lesson.
That was really, really
really enjoyed that.
Do you remember at the start of that when he was teaching us to create the web pages in tables? Oh, I hated that. We used to have to make a website in a...
Well, that was like the framing of the website, wasn't it? Like, so you would create a table.
Oh, God, I don't remember ever doing it.
It's a horrible way to...
3x3 table.
Yeah,
and you'd have to code things into the patch of the table.
Yeah, it was
disgusting.
It was not good. But
and we'd come from using like Dreamweaver where you had like button selection options. Like,
do you know what was good about Dreamweaver actually? Like you could build a website with a graphical user interface, as in using a graphical user interface to build the website.
GUI.
But then you could have the code displayed as well, so you'd kind of learn the code from doing the stuff in Dreamweaver.
When you clicked on, or on the web page, or when you clicked over the area, it would then highlight the code on the side, and it would tell you like where that code is and what was happening, and you could almost like pick and select different.
Really
buttons.
good way of learning that.
Yeah, it was.
For me.
It was interactive. So that was that one.
Good lesson.
The next one was controlling systems using IT.
Fuck me. How's that any different from the others?
I don't even know what that is. But
I have no idea about it. Let me guess.
I got a distinction. Controlling systems using IT.
What the fucking hell is that?
Controlling systems using IT. That one, another Mike's. Was it? God, I don't even know. I don't even have any memories.
I've not got any memories either.
So the next one, this one we will have, is organizational systems security. I'm
not sure I remember that.
That was a Dom. Because Dom, it was in that course where Dom was...
I can remember Dom. I don't remember...
He was not screwed. He had his head screwed on.
He came in... He wasn't always at that college, and he came in like while we were there. And he's probably the only teacher ever in my life that actually inspired me.
Yeah, and he gave really good life advice.
He did. He was saying, right, when you go off to uni, in your free time, do these things called pro-quals, professional qualifications, which you pay like £70 to do, and you get one in Windows XP Service Pack 2, and you get these professional qualifications which make you attractive to IT firms. And he was saying he told me about this thing called a Gantt chart, which I've never looked at since, but I literally did one of these.
Yeah.
And it was some way of maybe prioritizing like where you want to go in life. And
really good.
He was excellent.
He was really good, and he was like, and he put it into like really common stuff. So he's like, everybody's going to come out of your uni qualification. There's going to be 70 of you that come out with the same qualification, and you're all going to be applying for the same jobs, hopefully in the same area. And he says, what's going to set you apart from everybody else? So he's like, you need to make sure you use them bursaries that you get to get you some pro quals.
Yeah, because we would get like the idea was we'd go to uni and we'd get like grants and bursaries to the tune of like 4 figures a time.
Yeah, for access to, and I don't want to overstep where we're going or come off. We'll come back, but I remember like I went to a Russell Group University, a red brick, a University of Leeds. That's where I went to study IT, and because I got a triple distinction in this, for some reason that that equated to getting 3 A's at A level, which people that get A's at A level like are really clever people.
Yeah.
But because it was equivalent to that, I then had like companies like Dell, Intel, Apple even would say like, oh, we want you to come to this fair we're holding at the Uni of Leeds, or we want access to your data or your information. We'll give you £1,000. We'll give you £2,000. And it was just like free money. It was a bursary.
And Dom wanted us to use those for what he called pro-quals, or what were called pro-quals. What did you use yours on? You got any pro-quals?
I was literally a part 4.
I don't have any pro-quals. Don't start turning those pages in that book.
A level 2 certificate in fitness instructing gym-based exercise. That's all I have.
I spent mine on probably Guitar Hero and Yeah, probably just started drinking. I bought about £300 worth of Nando's in 1 month.
And Fred Perry's.
You
have a really nice Fred Perry, don't you? You have the black with the yellow stripes. The Proud Boys Fred Perry, don't you?
What was the next lesson?
So the next one.
I got that for my 19th birthday. Can you believe?
You?
Yeah.
Wow.
Still got it in the wardrobe.
Oh, this one. Mathematics for IT practitioners. I don't even remember that one. But I got a distinction. Right, the next one, which is actually a bit better. Web server scripting.
That was
Mike.
Was it?
That's very similar to the...
Oh, man, I don't remember any of these, man.
IT systems. I don't even know what that was. Client-side customization of web pages. Web server scripting. So that was... Maybe that was the SQL one we was on about earlier.
Yeah, maybe it was.
Which we've already gone into. And the one after that, website production and management. Another one... This one, I think, wasn't so much with the... doing it in a table. This was creating proper websites. And this is where one of our friends actually on the course went on and started his own business doing this stuff. And like he had it must have been really successful because he had like six-figure bank balances and stuff.
Well, this is the thing. He was showing off a six-figure bank balance. Bearing in mind, he was incredibly skilled with HTML, so he probably knew how to use Inspect Element. Fast forward 10 years, in my DMs at 3 in the morning, trying to ring me.
Yeah.
Fucking
wants a bit of
the channel action, doesn't he?
Yeah, now he does.
Sorry, boy.
Fuck off.
Let's talk about. Oh, is there another lesson?
There's a couple more that we'll.
Let's see if these bring back any memories.
Installing and upgrading software. Distinction. Object-oriented programming. Again, not distinction. E-commerce. I remember a little bit about that.
E-commerce was building a web store for the gym.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah,
Uriah King was the manager of the gym, and we had to make a website where you could transact.
I've got a memory.
Go on.
Mathematics for IT practitioners.
Yep.
Suckdev.
Suckdev Singh.
Suckdev Singh.
Suckdev Singh.
Who told us
Parabola.
Who told us all in his lesson, yep, we get in, we go onto the computer, log off and go to Google.
Log off and go to Google.
Log off, as in like what he meant was shut down that web page that went what you meant to be on and go to Google. But he wasn't even an IT guy. He was just a maths teacher, and he'd be like, log off and go to Google.
He was an older gentleman, an old Sikh gentleman, big turban, big beard.
I want to say instinctively lovely guy, but he was genuinely
the thing with him
guy.
And we actually, there's a clip in, I want to say Leeds Fest Best Camp 2014.
Oh my God, when I met him.
Where we run into him when we've gone to the Tesco, and you can see Briody comes up to the car and goes, suck them.
Yeah, I remember that.
But this guy, man, he was just a fucking simple maths teacher. He's probably come out of retirement to, again, inspire the youth. I remember him trying to teach us what a parabola was.
Yeah.
Parabola, he was saying, and he drew this parabolic curve, whatever the fuck that. I don't know what that shit is now. And he drew that on the fucking on the board. This is the same lesson where we right next to him filmed, because we were getting into filming stuff more and more often. We were filming not music. Adverts. We were making
sauce
it. We used to go to Morrison's and get this drink called a sauce. It was their own brand, Energy. They've rebranded it to something like 1886 now or something.
It is.
But it used to be called sauce. It's the same thing. We were next to a Morrison's. We'd always go in and get sauce. So we literally, he's there trying to teach us maths, and we just decide, let's film it. Let's make an advert. Let's conceptualize. Act out and film an advert.
And he's there trying to teach maths to like 4 people in the class. And at the back
this
of the
class, it's not a big class either. There's maybe 12 people in this class.
Size of this podcast area.
It's not a big class in terms of the head count. And in the middle of it, parabola. Boys, let's film an advert.
In the middle, he's like drawing it on the whiteboard. And then all you can see in the background is me on a chair sliding across with my hoodie just on my head like a cape going... It is okay. You can have your sauce today.
The thing is, he'd already given up by that point. He was sat down at his. Let me see if you keep talking about that. Let me see if I can find.
It was just crazy, and then we'd film like just other weird skits in that
just
room.
Just in the middle of the lesson
Yeah.
while they're trying to teach. Sorry, teacher, we're going to film. We've just conceptualized a game show. We're just going to film that.
I've got another memory as well. What one was this?
Oh, I've got the Sauce advert here.
Oh, great.
This is going to be really hard to digest in this format, but I'm going to
put it to the camera.
My best.
Is college road getting you down? Do you feel weak? You need source.
It is okay, you can just drink your sauce today.
Patrick, saucy goodness.
Oh man, you can
So that's the
see
kind of
there.
stuff we're going
I'll
to-
put a link for that in the description. Oh no, if you want it to see it in the thread that you create,
We'll put it
ask
into
me in
there.
But God, in the middle of the lesson, you can see Sukdev just sat down there.
What about
I know what you're gonna say.
I forgot, I don't even know his name. But
Yasser
oh no.
Naruj.
Oh no, we had Naruj. That's another story. There's I can't remember his name, but you'll remember him when I say he reinvents himself every 10, 15 years. He was a tutor and he reinvented himself every 10, 15 years.
Chris Bell.
Chris Bell walks into our room once. So another time we sat filming something.
Just
Yeah.
in the lesson,
Just in the lesson.
filming but we had everyone involved,
Like the whole-
everyone in the lesson.
This is
involved.
it was an insane on the membrane random game. And we're sat in the thing and he's not turned up for some reason. And we're all in the thing, we started working and then we're like, should we film a quiz show? That's a great idea. Should we film a quiz show? I'm like, yeah, no problem. So we get onto it. Halfway through, he walks in and he goes, what did he say, Rob?
He said, it just proves that you don't listen because I said I didn't even need to see your faces this week. Just walked off.
That was walked out.
Just carried on filming.
And we was in there doing stuff like,
I'm pretty sure that made the edit of
yeah, it did.
Insane on the Membrane random
And
game.
we was doing a quiz where it was like 3 guys trying to pick a number between 1 and 10 that was in my head. And the guy would just go like something relevant like, I can't poo for Kelly. Or,
Oh, that was the buzzer. That was the buzzer
and the
noise,
buzzer was
wasn't
like,
it?
punch me in the face, or sting it, or something crap, or like the wind's imbaled. And then it'd be like,
Oh,
5.
people have no idea what any of that means, bro. You just said the wind's impaled them to the podcast audience.
Oh, there's so many little like micro stories.
He is
that
a
come
funny
off
one.
this.
He is a funny one. So there was this guy called Naruj, and he was a bit of a lone wolf, but we all
Yeah.
liked him, and we all had time for him, but he was a bit kind of more standoffish.
Yeah, he was
Um,
a thug.
You said it, not me.
The type
I've
of
got
guy-
another great story about some thugs as well after this.
The type of guy that idolized Tupac.
He truly did love
Yeah.
Tupac.
He loved him.
In fact, there was a lesson where we were talking about great innovators. Like that was not an off-topic
Oh,
conversation. The teacher asked us, and he said Tupac. And do you know what? Now I'd be inclined to agree with him, but back then it was a bit of a weird answer.
Yeah.
Anyway, plagiarism was rife in our lessons.
God, yeah, it was.
And Nuraj was one of our boys at the end of the day, and he was like, yo, Rob, can I have your work for insert lesson here? So I'm like, yeah, cool. Just grab it, sling in my USB drive from around the neck, goes to him. Think nothing of it, probably swivel over to you and start talking
Having a
about
chat. Oh.
some random shit.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, swing my fucking neck round. Nuraj is there, innit? And I
On the XP.
I see a file transfer of every single file on my USB drive.
128 items. And
Nothing
the slow,
dodgy on there, like, but
The slow, like the file going from one folder,
yeah,
floating over to the other. like,
the image. He's just trying to rip my entire thing.
there was
Don't
another.
hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah, you got to charge it. And then it was. Remember the other time we were talking about girls, and oh my
Swedish
God,
girls.
Swedish girls, and he had this weird comment like, "Yeah, they're really good, but got big noses." And he's like, "I was like, what would you do about
Massimo Snodgy.
that?" Massimo Snodgy, and he's like, "Just grind the nose down," like as if it was real. Like, do you remember there was a girl on the course? And do you remember at Freshers? We went up to the University of Leeds at Freshers Week, and we were just getting leaflets and free like promotional information. She was called Jade.
Oh, I remember her.
Yeah.
She was nice.
She was a
good
lovely
lass.
girl. She was a lovely girl.
Yeah, she was a good lass.
And Mum owned like a sandwich shop
Mm.
down at literally just Mill Hill.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was on Mill Hill.
That's cool.
Yeah, she was lovely with Jade.
a great story from college. We might wrap up with this one.
Yeah.
Is the story of, and I'm just going to say it and see if you twig on, Nintendo DS.
Oh.
Now, maybe you don't.
I'm not just saying this. It does ring a bell. But
Disrespect.
Yes. Yes.
Now, you're best telling this story.
So there was a lad on our... No, wait. Disrespect.
In the lift.
Oh, my... Wait. Yeah, I think this is one. There was another story I was thinking of, though.
All right, well, we got time for 2.
Wait, okay,
I'm on my next poddy.
Disrespect.
At 9:30, so I got plenty of time.
Okay. I'm pretty sure. Is this the one where I had to step in to stop someone?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was an issue. No, was it a DS? Or was it... This is how I understood the story was there was people in the lift and it comes down and there's a guy that's
I'll
trying
start
to
the
get to
story. I'll start the story.
Go on.
Well, we're hanging out with an old friend of ours who we're not in touch with anymore, who was in the second group, but he was a good friend at the time. And we get in the lift and there's some big couple of big lads in there, yeah. One of them's playing on a DS.
Yeah.
But he looks pretty, he looks pretty rough. You won't want to fuck with him.
No.
And he's playing his DS.
Yeah.
And the guy that we stood with kind of sniggers and laughs at the DS. Not like pointing, not like really blatant, but he's just like kind of laughing.
Well, this other guy, the guy you don't want to mess with, is waiting to get in the lift, isn't he? But the lift is too full for him to get into it. And it was my understanding that it wasn't just the DS, but he then also made a comment about the guy not being able to get in the lift in time. And that also antagonized the situation.
Cool. So the guy's outside of the lift. We're in the lift. The lift goes to this guy's floor. The door's open. The guy stood there with his mate and his muscles and his DS.
Yeah.
Our mate in the lift laughs, makes a comment because there's no room. The lift door's shut and we advance to our floor and don't think anything else of it.
I'm already on that floor.
So we get to that floor. Let's say it's floor 9 and this happened on floor 5 where the doors opened. He couldn't get in. Doors closed again. Went up. So we're sat in the corridor, the communal corridor.
Waiting to go into
for the lesson to start, waiting to get in. And who comes through the door?
It's the big man himself.
It's the big man, DS in hand, boy behind him.
He storms up with his mate and confronts our friend. And literally, there's about to be an altercation that's going to go down. Like
the world's first altercation in Leeds College of Technology.
It was literally he was not our friend because he probably couldn't handle himself. But this other guy was about to start throwing down on him, wasn't he? And it would have been a massacre.
He would have got battered. Look how they massacred my boy.
It would have got massacred. And the other guys, like, there's 2 of them on him, and I remember just like being like, "What's this beef for? Like, why are you so upset?" And just having to like talk the situation down and just try and like calm them down to a point where they just then walk away. But it was so hard.
And it was tense.
And our friend...
It was tense for me just as a bystander.
Our friend like shit his pants. Literally wouldn't say it. Was
absolutely.
Like... Yeah. As you probably would do because you've just been caught being a dick. Like he's just called you out. This guy's come up to serve you your fucking humble pie. Yeah, and you've lost your tongue.
Yeah, like, you think when those doors close, you think you're exonerated. That's the end of the situation.
And yeah, I had to go and be like, "Look, mate, it's not worth the situation. Like, why are you going to start like turning to violence?" And that's not the answer. He's not going to learn. If he says sorry, would you go? And he's like, "Yeah, that's okay." And his mate is also mediating. So me and his mate are mediating. He's upset, and we're trying to like get his mate down to a level where he fucks off. And yeah, eventually he does, and our friend has to say sorry. But for a minute there, it looked like it was actually going to go down.
The only altercation to ever happen.
I was going to have to start throwing hands back. And like,
I think he'd have given you a run for your money, mate. He was a big lad.
He was a big lad, and there was 2 of them as well. And there was
you had me.
There was nobody else on our course that's going to stand in and help, are they? Like, what's going to happen? People are just going to be like, okay, that's
What was your story that you thought I was on about?
Mine was there was a guy.
There's so many stories, like the Merrion Market, the filming deck non-stop. There's so much stuff to go through, man. Not enough hours in the day. We'll have to do a part 2 if people like this.
And there was a guy on our course, and he played a game called Shire.
I've got one more story after this one.
He played a game called Shire, and I'd never played it. I'd never looked at it online.
Basic,
I don't know what it was.
MMORPG, I think.
Probably.
Like 2D sprite, really basic RPG.
And like, I want to get to know him. Like, you wanted to get to know everyone on that course. So typical thing you do, and it's manipulation really, but you start trying to talk to them about something they like to get them engaged, so you can try and understand what kind of personality they are, what kind of character they are.
You gotta break the ice and
you
figure
do.
it out.
So like, we're talking, I was like, oh, so what do you do? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, on a night I'll play Shire. So I was like, oh, all right, what's that? And he's like, yeah, it's this game. Just off the cuff, I was like, oh, like, are you quite good at it? And he's like, massively respected.
I'm actually massively respected on this.
Massively respected on the platform, actually. And it turned out, like, in his head, he was huge on this. And this is another thing about the early internet, because it did make people feel like that, because there was maybe 100, 200 people that would do it. And it had the capacity to make you feel like, oh my God, if you was an early adopter of something, you'd be like, oh, wow, like, I am really good at my level's so high. Like, I remember playing games and thinking, oh, I'm really good at this. This is great.
And now you can't even start GTA Online as a level 1 without getting grief.
Shark cards like you do, so.
Excuse you. This might be the last story, but if we think of another one, then we'll bring that in. So there was a guy on our course who wasn't the most trustworthy in terms of advice. You wouldn't really take much advice. And the reason we say that is because he was into taking recreational drugs. Now, you know where I'm going with this.
I know where you're going with this.
I think he used to take mushrooms, probably smoked weed.
We used to go to the back of where the First Direct Arena is now. That used to be the old...
Like some council building or something.
No, it was the old Metropolitan University.
Oh, was it?
It was the back.
I remember really dark brick.
Yeah.
Shithole.
It was crap, and it was getting like knocked down. And we would go there with him. We wouldn't partake, but a couple of other people would, and they'd do some.
And this was like nowadays, like, I feel like the kids nowadays, like, they're surrounded by drugs, right? Yeah. We get asked about drugs all the time in our comments, and drugs are probably more accessible than ever. They're probably more, But back then, we didn't ever have any exposure to this. And this guy wasn't like a crackhead. He was a recreational drug user.
Yeah.
But that kind of generated a certain opinion of him in our heads. Kind of similar to how it would now, really.
Yeah, genuinely it would.
Maybe be a bit more accepting now. But anyway, this was a first for us. I'd never met anyone that actually takes drugs.
Yeah, so it was a bit cool, a bit exciting.
But it basically kind of discredited anything that he would say.
Yeah.
Comes in one day. This is 2009.
No, this is 2008. He was year 1.
I think it was 2009.
He did. So he was on our first. He did the first year, and then he didn't come back for the second year.
Oh shit! Is that right?
Yeah, he did year 1, and then he didn't come back for year 2. Because
it was 2009. Because this product we're about to talk about was introduced in January 2009.
Tablemate 2, as seen on TV.
So Gavin comes into the lesson and he sits down, and great guy. He was actually sound.
Everybody was sound.
He was actually probably one of the soundest. And he sits down and he goes, "There's this new thing that I'm thinking about, like, getting into. You guys should really look into it. It's gonna be the future." I'm like,
it's gonna be massive.
Here he goes. What's he been smoking? Mm-hmm. He goes, "Yeah, it's this thing called Bitcoin."
Bitcoin.
This is 2009.
Yeah.
This is when a Bitcoin was probably worth less than 1 penny.
Yeah, it was valueless. Like,
it was literally value. It was a concept.
I know, and we could have got in.
And we just thought, what the fuck's he on about? I never thought about Bitcoin again.
Yeah, and
until probably 3 years ago, where it's like
when it started exploding.
Gavin was right, man. In 2009,
imagine if
the drugs opened his mind.
Yeah.
Let's get some drugs.
100 quid in. But yeah, that was my.
Let's see what the value of a Bitcoin was.
I've got another story.
All right, man, let's go.
So the other story. Oh my God, have I just forgotten it? Dun, dun, dun. Oh, what the blooming heck? What was my story?
When Bitcoin was introduced, it had a value of 0.
Yeah, literally.
They were just free. They were just on the house.
Imagine that. Imagine getting that.
In 2010, there were 9 pence. A Bitcoin now is £36,000.
Imagine that.
Gavin, I hope you held on to them, because the
Yeah.
only thing worse than missing out on a Bitcoin would be cashing out of a Bitcoin when they were worth a few hundred quid
We would have done that as
for
well,
some
to be fair.
fucking drugs.
We would have done that. This might be our final story was, so we're preparing to go to college right back at the start, and we've realised we get our EMA allowance, and me and Kelly had sat there in some class in school adding up our EMA, and we come out with this idea that, so I don't even know how we did this calculation. This is what I get for sitting with a guy who failed maths. Yeah.
I hadn't failed maths at this point.
And
I had a dickhead.
somehow we come to the conclusion that if we both put our EMA together, we
For
can
the whole 2 years,
for the whole
including
2
the
years.
Christmas bonus.
we can afford an Audi R8. And we was like,
And this is when the R8 was
imagine.
brand new to
Yes,
market. That
like huge
first
sports car.
V10, V8,
V10.
the entry R8 was 80 grand.
Yeah.
And that's the figure we based that off.
And somehow we thought we was going to get 40 grand a year each.
20 grand
20
a year.
grand a year each.
Let's work out. Let's forget about the Christmas bonus.
Yeah.
Let's work out how long we'd have to be going to college for to get
I reckon
an
it's-
Audi R8.
Oh, I was going to say 2,400.
So let's have a look. So 80,000 divided by 30.
An Audi R8.
And then, wait. So that's 80,000 is the value of the R8. Divide that by 30, and that's how many weeks.
That's how many weeks.
And then divide that by 2, because there's 2 of us. We'd only have to go to college for
15 years.
25 and a half years.
Oh, well, we're nearly there. We'll have
We're
an R8
probably
soon.
closer to buying the country's worst example of that exact R8 now than we would be if we went the EMA route.
But yeah, just that was the level of what we was thinking. And what time are we on?
We're on 9, but we don't worry.
There's so many stories.
It's all good. All I need to do, I'm actually jumping on a podcast as a guest after this.
Okay.
At 9. So all I need to do is just grab a water at 9:30. It's just grab a water and change my t-shirt, and then we're good.
Well, another story. So on a morning, we used to go and we used to get a bus, and every
The
morning.
number 1 bus often.
Oh, do you want to tell the story about the cross and the purse? Are you comfortable telling that?
Yeah,
story?
we were kids. We were kids.
So we were kids.
Maybe this is a confession story.
This is a confession. Well, this is bad. So we get the bus every day to.
Just bear in
college.
mind, we are
Too young.
17.
Probably barely even 17. This is
Yeah.
year 1. Like I'm still 16 until. So my birthday's
until
in July.
August, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm probably still 16.
16.
16. But yeah, so we're young and we've not really experienced much. Like I grew up on a council estate with probably I don't know why I'm trying to
We did a bad thing, all right? We're kids.
I don't know why I'm trying to like make an excuse for it. What happened. So we go and we're on the bus, and it used to be a bendy bus, which for people that don't know is 2 single buses. Like
It's
almost
mad that you have to say that, innit? People that don't know.
smacked together with like a
Elasticated fucking...
like a flexi bit in the middle.
gasket in the middle.
Oh, weird bit, but we used to get this bendy bus and go to the thing, and we sat one day behind this 4-seater, and this woman gets up, leaves her bag on the seat in front. So I can't remember who was eagle-eyed, but
Now, we didn't see her leave the bag. That's the key part.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
didn't watch her get up leaving the bag.
no.
She left, and then we noticed, the bag's there.
Oh, she left her bag.
We were at the end of the line, because that's where we rode it to. We're
Yeah.
at the end of the line. Look on the seat next to us. There's a bag there.
Yeah. So we should we have a look at it, see if there's any ID in it, and then we can give it to the driver. So we go in, get a purse out. In the purse, there's a little bit of money, not loads, like 20 quid maybe, 30 quid max. So we're like,
There was 20 quid.
so it was like,
4 times. 4 20 quid notes, if memory serves.
so I was like, should we maybe split that? And we're thinking about it, we're delivering it, and then Kelly puts his hand back into the purse, not into the purse, into the bag.
Wow, this is me that does this.
It was genuinely you.
Yeah.
And pulls out, I kid you not, a 6-inch wooden cross with Jesus nailed to the fucking thing.
Big old crucifix.
As if there was ever a sign to say, like, put that back. Like,
Anyway, what did you spend your 40 quid on?
probably some at the Jumbo record store, but yeah, like mad, like but just remember, I remember seeing
You probably spent your 40 quid on iTunes downloads, mate, for your iPod Nano.
You were probably spending it on like shark cards even back then. Eh?
Well, it didn't exist.
Well,
this has been a fantastic conversation.
Thank you so much.
I've really enjoyed it.
I have loved it.
It's unlocked more memories that we should kind of revisit this in a different way. This can be like kind of part one of opening the floodgates to college.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe next time we can come up with some bullets of some interesting stories, because there's a million. We really haven't done it justice.
We haven't. And even the stuff like, I don't know how if we could access some of the old videos from them. Like,
yeah, they're all on a drive somewhere, mate.
Because there's even just clips of us. There's a clip of literally me, Ashton. There's a couple of me and a couple of other people.
Nice lad.
Top lad. Top lad.
When this comes out,
whenever
we sling this one out, if you want to see some of this media, some of this stuff we're referring to, create a thread in the Sam Pelly Squad, and we will happily oblige. MB,
more than happy.
Thanks so much for coming.
Having us.
Let's do this again, mate.
We absolutely will. There's plenty more to talk about.
There sure is. Thanks, everyone. Love you and leave you. Got no one else. All major platforms, please subscribe. There's a lot of good stuff coming on this channel in the new year.
Absolutely.
This probably is the new year by now.
Yeah, it'll be a while before this comes out. Yeah. But I hope you've all had a lovely Christmas and a very nice new year.
Whoop!
And yeah, we'll see you on the other side.
All right. See you later, bro. Bye everyone.
Bye.